Hi, my name is Max, and for my final project, I decided to test the question of how greasy are your favorite potato chips? So I heard this rumor from my friends that Ruffles is the greasiest brand of potato chip, and rather than just simply Googling whether it is or not, I decided to test it out. So after some research, I developed an efficient method to test this claim out for myself. This experiment aims to give you a better idea of how much grease is contained within your favorite potato snacks. So my research question ended up being between the brands of Pringles, Lay's, and Ruffles, will Ruffles be the greasiest or not? My hypothesis is Ruffles will not be the greasiest brand of potato chips out of the three that I'm testing. So here's my experimental process, kind of like a play-by-play breakdown of it. So the materials that you needed were graph paper, the ones with like cubed lines on it, a dark writing utensil, a crushing device, Lay's, Ruffles, and Pringles brand potato chips. So my experiment was broken down into three main trials. Each trial required 3 sheets of graph paper folded carefully in half and one of each potato chip approximately similar sizes. I would take each potato chip and place it on the graph paper, and then I would fold the graph paper over and it would crush the potato chip down and leave a grease stain afterwards. So the scale measurement I used to record my data was in squares or units on the graph paper. So like every square would be considered 1 unit to measure grease with. Any square partially filled or untouched by grease would not be counted. So I only counted squares that would be completely filled by the grease stain. My sample size was 3 potato chips per selected brand, so 9 separate chips in total. So the thing is my little visual I used to fill in for me for the images, but there's some pictures of my experimental process. So my main confounding variable I discovered were inconsistencies in chip and size and shape. So to make up for this, I realized that the Pringle is the only one of these potato chips that have the exact same like radius, shape, all of that. They're all pre-made to be the same. And so I use that as like the average sort of like standard template to base the size of my other ships off of. I was careful to only choose Lay's and Ruffles that are really similar in size and structure to the standard Pringle and lacked any curves or like those weird folds where like more grease could probably like be contained. And here's my data table. As you can see, there was quite a difference in the numbers. You may be able to tell that Ruffles had the highest amount of grease per trial. And here's the same data now displayed in a graph. You can look that over for a second. So here are my final results. I asked what the greasiest brand of potato chips were between Pringles, Ruffles, and Lay's, and whether or not Ruffles would come out as the greasiest brand of potato chips. After predicting that Ruffles would not be the greasiest brand of chips, I found that my hypothesis was false, or at least refuted in this case. Ruffles contain the most visible grease left on the wax paper for each trial, making it the greasiest chip, so I guess that my friend was right in his claim. I guess he heard wherever he heard it from. I think he said you're right from the internet that Ruffles was the greasiest brand. Now, I'm sure there are greasier brands out there, and there are way better and more efficient ways to test like the accuracy of like how greasy these chips actually are, and even more importantly, how good or bad they are for you. But I just found this to be a really interesting way to explore this idea and sort of give us an idea of how you can just sort of take simple things like food and explore that a lot more in these when by asking these questions. So thank you for your time and interest in this experiment. If you have any further questions for me about this project or anything else you wanted to give me feedback on, feel free to contact me using my email below. Thank you.